if too much of the client base is one person, I think there's an episode of Mad Men that talked about this. Since we're an advertising agency, I'd watched that show, and on Mad Men they lost a major client and it literally took out over half of the revenue. You don't want to do the same type of thing and have so much of your success allocated to one item. I've been doing this long enough to know that I've had certain clients that went with one particular lead company, and that lead company sold. I'm not going to mention their names, but one major lead company sold, and the leads started at a good rate, and then they got really high and hard to work with. So if you're, and for that, I mean, used to pay-per-click was really inexpensive and it went high. And so if you're getting pay-per-click only or leads only or map only or paid only or even social media only, man, things change. Hey there guys, it's Nolan Walker. I want to talk to you today about why you must diversify your marketing channels. And I'm going to give an example of someone who called and that I spoke to today. So I spoke to a gentleman today that was considering, actually had called for a website design, and I said, hey, you know, why don't you work on your search engine optimization and your organic presence? In total, you realize a design alone isn't really going to do much when so much needs to be done. And he said, well, I don't know. I know I'm not getting as much as I used to. I used to have 4 or 5 trucks on the road, and now it was just him because somewhere down the road the marketing went wrong. And he said, you know, I wouldn't mind getting my trucks back on the road and getting some more contractors. This guy was a contractor. And I said, you know, that's fine. He said, what keeps you busy now? And he said, well, I stay busy now really just on my part of town. I used to get shown on Google Maps in a much larger area. And I said, okay, so that's pretty common. They've kind of narrowed it down. Did you know it might show you larger if you were a stronger web presence? They would still expand you a little bit more. He said, no. And I said, you know, if you called and you just got a design only and you did that one thing, I said the worst thing that happens would be that maybe they broke all the internal pages and actually made it worse. But worse than that is what could happen is that if you didn't work on any other item, then Google might say, hey gosh, we show him on maps, but since he's not doing anything, then we're just going to quit showing you. So if you have one thing going, like maps for example, well, they're not going to show you forever if it just continues to sit there, and eventually the algorithm's going to say, we just want higher quality people to show, and we indeed have higher quality people to show. So we have someone that works on regular amount of stuff, and I'll give some other examples of this, but if someone's sitting there and doing one thing, then the chances of that one thing working forever is not real high. I had an example, a bank loan example for a business loan, or even when someone looks at buying a business, if too much of the client base is one person, I think there's an episode of Mad Men that talked about this. Since we're an advertising agency, I'd watched that show, and on Mad Men they lost a major client and it literally took out over half of the revenue. You don't want to do the same type of thing and have so much of your success allocated to one item. I've been doing this long enough to know that I've had certain clients that went with one particular lead company, and that lead company sold. I'm not going to mention their names, but one major lead company sold, and the leads started at a good rate, and then they got really high and hard to work with. So if you're, and for that, I mean, used to pay-per-click was really inexpensive and it went high. And so if you're getting pay-per-click only or leads only or map only or paid only or even social media only, man, things change. And if you added all these things together and did this, then man, you could have really great organic as well. So if you participated in a full stream of leads, and then somebody was working on organic and you had great content and website and stuff as well, I think that paying for leads is overall fine. I do it. A lot of our clients do it. Some focus on the entire world of organic, but when we do organic for a client, we're not doing what a lot of people do, which is one little thing. In fact, my own brother calls me a lot because he's got a flooring store. And I, of course, work for him and do his work. And they'd called and said, oh, we've got to fix your citations and your listings around the web. But he gets, we all get called on this stuff. They're just fishing for people. And I said, no, Rob, you're already doing, your citations were done well. We use a Canadian-based company for that. And one of the only things we outsource, but citations kind of have to be. And I said, no, they're fine. They're just fishing. But the thing about it was the companies that call him to do that do one thing. And so when we work on an organic effort, or we're a web crew for a company and we're doing paid, we do lots of things together. So my brother's online organic effort, where he shows up on mapping and his review integration and his organic keywords, they're not tied to us only doing citations. They're not tied to us only doing content or only doing blogging or only doing Google GMB, Google account work, or integrating reviews. We do all of these things together. Excellent code base and design. Those things all comprise the organic, which brings in tons of leads in a myriad of ways, from the organic keyword to the map placement to the review integration to social media. And when you do this all together, if you're doing all this stuff as a whole, everything begins to have synergy and work together, and it's going to lower the cost per lead that you have. And you certainly don't want to get stuck with one lead item. I mean, that would be really bad for you, because that could go down. And again, whatever you're focused on, especially on an organic basis, if you're really not doing anything and you're like, oh, my map's up just because it is. No, it's not. Your map's up there because of whatever clues the algorithm has chosen to use at that time. If you want to be as safe as possible that your map's going to continue to show up, you'll have a great overall web presence so that you deserve to show up, because someone that's not participating in regular changes to the website, content that's great, doing any social media at all, reviews that are robust and getting them regularly, that are implemented in through the website and other measures. If these things aren't done, the code base is bad, as enough competitors of yours has a better web presence, they will show the other people, because they don't want Google to look bad. They want them to have the best people to show your clients, and you need to be the best because of that. Whether it's on the organic basis or on the paid basis, you need to have this stuff done. So hope that was helpful, and we look forward to hearing from you someday.